Hello, it's so good to have you here with us to be able to share what we have that is the best in terms of genetics and inputs for the Brazilian livestock production coming right to you, to your home, anywhere in the world from Expo Genética. And here in our live from Brazilian Cattle, you will be able to learn about a farm that develops very special work due to this dedication and the love they put into their labor. We are now introducing to you Agropecuária Maripá. And here with us at the studio, we have Paula Botelho, the marketing manager, and William Pereira, who is the representative for the commercial area. Welcome to our house, the House of Zebu. That is also your house now. And remotely, we have Dr. Marcelo Batista de Oliveira, the president of Agromaripá, and Mr. Luiz Otávio Pereira Lima, the director. Welcome to Casa do Zebu. And now I will pass the floor to you so that you can conduct the live and introduce, not only for the Brazilian audiences, but especially for the international audiences, this wonderful work that you developed with Nelore and Gir. And you guys at home, stay tuned and pay attention to all the details because they have a lot of things, of quality things to show you. So I wish you all the success, and I will be back in the end to say goodbye, all right? See you later. Bye-bye. Welcome, everyone, our friends from Brazilian Cattle. As Maísa introduced me, my name is Paula. Agromaripá has been in the market for more than 40 years, working with Manga Larga Marchador, Gir, Nelore, and Cabra, and Sami goat. But I will not expand on that. I will show our institutional video and be right back.
For over 40 years, Agrippa invests in the selection and improvement of its animals, focusing to the fidelity of each breed. Horses and mares with a very good and excellent structure, with a good walking structure and build, characteristics of personality, balanced and resistant. Horses that are genetically made for endure sports, work riding, and riding in general. The combination between genetics and well-being resulted in animals with good temper and intelligent and determined to face challenges. The same dedication and work hard with breed and functionality are met in other breeds raised by Maripá. For over 20 years, it has concentrated the breed Nelore in the state of Mato Grosso and around the Amazon biome. The herd counts with the most modern technology such as artificial insemination, transfer of embryos, genotyping, and carcass ultrasound, with a focus on the genetic improvement of future generations, the quality of the meat, and the procedure that involves the complete cycle of the animals, breeding and fattening of the cattle. Animals that have been tested and were approved in the best selection programs and genetic improvement in the country. Agromaripá looked for, in India, the birthplace of the Zebu and the Gir breed. The result of years of the selection are animals of excellent breed characteristics that are precocious and conformity for high production of milk, with bulls that are the best in the test of progeny. From France, the breed of the genetic base of goats Saanen came that highlight in the production of milk and in the main milk competitions in the category, and it's been considered the best rearer of goats in 2019. There is sustainability, commitment with the environment, and social responsibility are present in Maripá. University Maripá amplifies the knowledge and enables and educates the business associates. And the children are included from the very beginning in children's education. So Maripá is moved by challenges. Looking at the future, it works so that the products and results of years of selection and improvement will be available for customers. Following the evolution of cattle breeding, to be sustainable, develop people, to be an inspiration for other breeders, and to look at the future are values and that strengthen the work of Maripá.
Well, this is a summary of the work of Maripá. But to talk a little bit more about its history and how Maripá came about, I would like to invite Dr. Marcelo. Marcelo was the founder of Maripá. How are you, Mr. Marcelo?
Good afternoon. Nice talking to you, and especially Arthur. It's great to be together with you. And Luis Otavio is there. William is also there from the commercial part, Paula, and our publicity, marketing. And I'd like to tell you that I'd like to show a little about our company. Not only with manga larga horses and goats, we want to show a little with our people, our personnel staff.
That's very good, Mr. Marcelo. Thank you. Now, Mr. Luis Otavio, would you like to say hi to everyone? Welcome.
Surely, Paula. It's an immense pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, Paula. Good afternoon, William. I'm Marcelo. And everyone watching us in this important channel, which is Brazilian Cattle, that takes Brazilian zebu to the world. It's a huge pleasure to talk about the project of Maripá and the breeds G and Allure. Yeah,
All
let's
right,
work.
let's work,
We're
William.
here, right? To show people at home this work that Maripá has been developing and is impressing a lot of breeders in Brazil, but not only in Brazil and throughout the world, right?
Yeah, now not just Brazil, it's worldwide. If you're here at Expo Genética, please come and visit our stand. We will have some
Yes,
cattle
exactly.
there,
We'll
like
bring
here.
some G cattle, and Laura as well will be in Pavilion 21. So if you're a breeder and you're visiting Expo Genetics here in August, if you're here in person, come here to visit us.
We will be waiting for you there. And I would like to call Luis Otavio to show the work that has been developed and its fruits, its results. Luis, could you tell us a little bit? We're going to show a sequence of Gir cattle. And if you could talk about the work developed with this cattle, it would be wonderful.
Yes, Paula. We're going to show in the video some of the cows that we had in July and represent a bit of the genetic work that is being carried out in Maripá. Milk is very important to highlight. We're showing cows that we don't have any artificial production in the milking production. So there are cows that go from 11 liters of milk that produce up to 17 liters of milk. And when we went to India, the average of 15 to 17, it was a good average for the zebu in the conditions where they were. And here, for milk production, We also believe that from 13 to 17, it would be viable to and sustainable for milk production. So you see that Agromaripá and for us purity is very important in terms of the continuity of these characteristics. And we have also incorporated important characteristics in there.
And now, talking a little bit about the products that we have, William, we are going to briefly show the products that we have in terms of Gir. And if you could comment for those watching at home.
Yes, I'm gonna show you the battery of the bulls, the breeder bulls that came from the embryos of that came from India, and now we have 7 bulls, and I usually joke that they're bulls that and we're selling the semen from these bulls. And I usually say that what's very clear, everything, all of the bulls and all of the semen are collected in certified centers for certified for trading, not only in Brazil but in the rest of the world as well. So if you have a group of bulls and you have amendoim, urucum, arjun, and within this group of bulls, and both arjun and amendoim are within the test of progeny of and that's in 2024. The test of progeny are going to be given. This test in the BCG is being really waited. The people are looking forward to it, and we have been bringing these bulls in Expo Zebu and also during the visitation. The international audience that Brazilian cattle brings for Expo Zebu, when people come to our pavilion and they see the G cattle, everything that we say that it's a beautiful animal, the pattern, and without losing its characteristics of G breed, and with milk production, people who are working in Agromaripá, it's a very specific work and it's very well done. And during Expo Zebu, it was an interesting situation. We talked, and we also are going to make the embryos of these animals available. The idea is to provide the embryos along with Brazilian cattle and people who import these embryos to provide this genetic material not only to Brazil but abroad as well. And the semen also and the embryos will be exported to.
And William has reinforced all the semen is sold through specialized central following all the national and international protocols. William, is there a bull that you would like to highlight that has higher
So within the
production?
group of these bulls, one that stands out is Amendoim, a bull that has an amazing production within Maripá, and and the milk of A2 and 3. We have A Junior that is A2 and A3, and people have been looking for the genetic material of Arjun. And this is really increasing for this Maripá cattle to be more important. And what's really important is the blood refreshing. So nowadays the cattle breeder needs the Maripá genetic and genetic material. And I usually say that bulls, they're getting old, right? And this genetic material, if you, there's a saying that if you drink water, you should drink clean water, right? So Mr. Marcelo Luiz Otávio did the hardest part with, which was to go to India, go
It
through a
was
lot of
very
trouble.
hard. There's a lot of
They,
stories to tell about
right,
that.
Luis, and you're gonna
Yes,
send
yes, I
Luis
will
back to
send Luis
India, right?
Otávio to
And
India again.
lots of problems. And this genetic material is now available and accessible to any breeder. And we saw this in the auctions, which was the last one. The search for the genetic material is very important, and it's very sought after. And the breeder has to take this opportunity.
For sure. And I would like to reinforce this. come to our stand. Please visit us at Expo Genética
Yeah, that's it.
and
Look at
see the
the
actual cattle.
samples, and if you are visiting, the pavilion will be really accessible, and you'll be able to get to know the work that Maripá is working with Gia and Nelore.
And William will be waiting for you there at the stand. He is 24 hours a day in the
Yeah, we
stand.
have to be ready, right, to welcome everyone. Luis Otávio there is also is joining our team, and he'll be available for 24 hours as well. It's important to highlight that after we collected the embryos in India, we donated the cows, and we discovered these cows in the temples, and we donated to the origin. So these cows, because we still have 500 embryos that are going to arrive in Brazil, and Mato Grosso do Sul is receiving part of it, and that's going to be important to provide more genetic variability for this breed.
That's very good.
I would also like to make some comments. The issue of all, maybe Luiz Otávio, that's something that is very important. In Juiz de Fora, I go around that area, and people have the cattle chirolando, dairy cattle as well. All means translating meat into calves. And surely it has economic value too. As William said very well, we're also trying to enable all in terms of weight in the cattle for not only the Nolor. And if you would like to compliment, it would be really good. The importance of the calf that is weaned off and good weight, it will provide sustainability to the milking production in the region and Juiz de Fora. And not only there, but in the rest of the country, milking production, even if it's a small production, small scale, it's very important.
Thank you, Luis. Well, we have a slogan that is, we call fidelity to the standard. So in Agromaripa, we are very, very attentive to this standard. What is fidelity to the standard? Now I will ask Mr. Marcelo to tell everyone what is this? What is fidelity to the standard?
The issue is very important. Many people ask me, what is fidelity to the standard? You cannot create a breed within the standard completely. And that is Mangalaga Machado, Nalor as well. Regardless of this, we focus on the standard, what we are trying to search in our standard, besides all of the qualities, productivity of cattle, we prioritize, but we're always thinking about the temper of the horse, and the breed beauty has to accompany it. It's no use raising a Nellore cattle that it's outside the standard, even though there is weight. The horse is for the horses there is the same thing. It's no use of breeding horses that don't have balance, and it's too little, right? So fidelity or faithfulness to the standard involves all, and we try to do and to follow a line that is very realistic. We don't want to breed cattle that is of mixed cattle. I want a pure cattle. And we do prize this. And in the Laura and ABCZ, the Nelore cattle has a beautiful beauty standard that is very important. So faithfulness to the standard, we always have to meet this requirement because we are always with, I always like to say that we're within standards.
Thank you, Mr. Marcelo. Luis, if we bring this fidelity to the standard, to the Nelore breed, what would be the attributes that we're looking for?
Now talking about Nelore, right? It's fundamental our criteria to talk about the criteria of selections of Nelore in Maripá. Because fidelity to the standard or faithfulness to the standard is so strong that the phenotypical evaluation is all animals are assessed by us and we go through the scoring and classification of these animals. Well, the first thing we look at is the phenotype. And within this phenotype, we have an animal that the ideal of that animal. And we prioritize not only health and adaptability of this animal within the system in which we're breeding it. This is expressed by the pigmentation of this animal's silky fur and short fur. It's not an angry animal, a good temper, also alert as well, balanced animals that walk really well. And distribution of the muscle mass in the carcass is very important. It's an animal that should not have one mass. It has to be homogeneous, the distribution of muscle, and it has to be according to the breed and the ears according to the Nelore. So all of it, body compliance and appropriateness, all of this is the first part of the selection of criteria of selection. If we like the animal, we will look at the genetic part of the animal, and after that, it cannot be disconnected also the genomic from the genetic assessment because that provides better more trust to the numbers and we look at the genetic assessment and what is really important which is to have a balanced animal and an animal that we has a good performance in growing in terms of breeding and being precocious and in terms of muscle and structure. And so when we look at the animal, if the animal fits our process and we look at whether these criteria are very well distributed. The third thing that we're going to analyze that we also consider very important is the conformity or compliance to the phenotypes that we have here in the farm, such as weight and ultrasound of structure or built for animals that breed precociously, whether it is according to ADEPS is talking in the genetic assessment. So for us, this is a result that the animal carries the genetic potential and it's being expressed or shown. These characteristics are shown because it's showing through this ultrasound of the muscle structure and because it's gaining weight. We use all tools from ABCZ in our production process. Not only and test and of gain weight and in the pasture and in confined space is trying to identify the best system that fits their animals in one situation and another situation. So that is a test and the selection criteria that we use here in Maripá with Nelore. The phenotypical, the genomic assessments of the DEBs, and the correlation of with the EDPs. And finally, we choose the top 10 of the herd.
I think now we should show instead of just telling. Luis, let's show some heads of cattle so people can see. I would also like to call a few of the bulls that we are in partnership with the centrals. I would like to start with Bodrum 2, which is in partnerships with CRV Alagoas. Luis, could you talk about this animal? Yes, we need to show and tell, right? Yes, we have to show the result.
Yes, we have to show and talk and show about it, right? And yeah, that's interesting, right? Because it's a beautiful bull and very strong muscle structure throughout the skeleton that is very good, a posterior that is very big, wide, and that is a class of phenotype, right? Of a phenotypical assessment. It's a bull that it's in CRV. It's a progeny of a champion, donor cow, and has an important family. It's the bull 2016. And ABCZ has a very high level and very high level in a very all the phenotypical characteristics such as structure, muscle mass, and precociousness is a very high ranking for all the maternal characteristics and all the breeding characteristics and reproductive also, and in precocious. So everything that I mentioned in the selection criteria, that was a bull that stood out within this, and not only for its beauty, but also its beauty and within the system, production system, EDPs that are very well distributed within the metrics, and the assessments of the phenotypical assessments according to the EDPs. And so that is the result. And this is we're in CRV, and the semen is available to Brazil and the rest of the world. Great, Luis.
That's good, Luis.
I wanted to say something here. It's not just for you to get to a bull like this that was mentioned. This bull has been selected ever since it was a calf and out of the group, out of 1,500 calves, and we they have here a bull that has very good characteristics, and you can see that for Maripá to be get to this point and to trade the semen here, sell a semen, it we have a program of an assessment. It has gone through the program of ABCZ with which is Penachi. That was the best bull in 2018. So the its products are just coming into the market now. So it's not a bull that came out of the blue. If you look at it from the very beginning as a calf, since the first classification in 1, 2, 3 out of 11, it has been selected at the very beginning. And to get here today, we brought this bull during Expo Zabu, and it was one of the big hits here, and it was hired by CRV Lagoa. And everything considered, it's a project that Maripá tried to has to produce or to breed calves of quality and females of quality, and for what the breeder is looking for, which is an animal of very high quality.
So it's worth getting to know and coming to our stand to get to know some of these bulls. Bodru is there probably, right?
Definitely, right?
Surprise, surprise.
So it's going to be a
Thank you,
surprise, right?
Luis. We now have another one, Buju from Maripap. If you could play the video, please, for Luis to comment.
That is a very interesting bull from 2017, and it's in autogenetics now. And then it was in last Expo Zebu. It comes from a backup that is very good. It's a backup that is fits the genetic standards and the selection criteria of Agromaripá. We used the backup a lot here, but we had to go through a lot of selection and this one here went through a criteria that was very important with a very beautiful muscle mass that is very well distributed through its skeleton and a large part in the back and forearm that is really good, opening here at the front. So that is a very good quality bull. It presents all of the genetic traits of superiority. And it's a bull that has DECA 1 15.62 for the ABCZ criteria, DECA 1 for all of the growing characteristics and maternal, and uh, and it's extremely important that when we see a bull that is very high in all of the figures, in the numbers, we see the characteristics which are the carcass or skeleton structure, which are very important. Why? Because it presents DECA 1 for AOL and for many other traits. And in the ultrasound of the carcass at the 17 months old, when the test was made, it was 87 centimeters. When it's 75, it's already excellent. So it's going to have a lot of meat in its bones. So it has 18.5 and 17 in the index. It shows a balance of this genetic or infrastructure to support all of this muscle mass and all of the meat in the carcass. So it has 18.5, which is way above what is considered excellent. And the characteristic which is of the taste. It has 3.5 in terms of carcass. So, well, that is a bull that having a balanced and distributed muscle mass, a beautiful look, and it has superiority in terms of carcass that definitely has this characteristic that is very high, and it's going to be passed down to its progenies.
William, would you like to comment a little bit?
Yes, it's a bull that really stands out, right, Bougie? And it's everything that we were talking about at the beginning. And within this work of assessment, it's what I usually draw the attention to 3.5 in terms of assessment. And what we've been trying to achieve with the newer generations. You can see that Bodron is the 2016, and then this one is 2017. And you can see that there is a search for this excellence and improvement. And every year we're trying to improve more and more.
For sure. As this is a live event, we have a time constraint, right? So, Luis, if we could talk a little bit about Goiano and Godá, could you talk about them at the same time, very briefly, so we can continue?
Yes, I have to talk about it because that shows all of the work of selection that has been carried out. There are two groups and people and we say that the younger group is always better than the previous one, right, Luis? Yes, Goiano, right, of 2019, a recent group that was hired by ABS, and it's a bull that is genetically superior, and also it's a bull that is very interesting, and it's going to join the beauty of conformity and compliance in terms of phenotype with an index of 24.50 of DECA 1, especially the ABCZ scoring. And what stands out in this bull Goiano is especially the positive correlation between growth characteristics with participation in the gaining weight test. It was the first one, I mean, it was the eighth place, but elite class in this test, and it has DECA 1 in the characteristics of growth for winning and many other characteristics. So these are things that are synergic. It carries it in its genetic material, as it's shown in the test that was made to assess the gain of weight. Many DECA 1 characteristics for many other characteristics, and carb and the carcass also 3.1 in terms of taste. So it's an animal that is really interesting to be used also in many types of herds. Gouda now. Also from the generation of 2019. It was a champion in many tournaments, tests. What stood out was the Deca of in terms of that has 7.75 in the milking quality characteristics and is Deca 1 for any characteristics, growth, breeding, carcass, that has all Deca 1 and it presents a genotype of all at 14 months, which is already an excellent measurement. Besides being an excellent bull with a lot of masculine characteristics and muscle mass that is very good and balanced throughout the skeleton, and it's going to make a lot of success in passing it down through to its progeny. Yeah, that is the bull of the new generation. It's very weighted in the DECA 1 assessment. It has very high characteristics and scoring in the next generations.
Very good. Now we are going to talk a little bit about semen and embryos, and I would like to call Patrick to give his testimony from Vila Nova Veterinária. He's going to talk a little bit about the quality of the embryo, and then Luis Otávio can complement on the
When we
project.
follow the evolution of a herd, some characteristics are more evident. And after using in vitro fertilization to multiply its animals, the average of eggs per embryos per cow is very high because its reproduction characteristics are very inheritable, and is a scrotum that is larger also. There is also the rate in terms of conversion of embryos, and we used bulls and cows of Maripá of 41%, and the national average is 30%. So if there is a certification of superiority, breeding superiority, definitely the animals of Maripá will definitely receive this score. It's important to highlight here that we choose our donors considering this criteria of selection that I mentioned before, and 15% of our best cows or of our herds are donors today. Out of 2,000 cows, we have 300 donors for genetic improvement, and we try to have 1,000 pregnancies, and we use this young bulls believing in this genomic material and information, and also in the selection. The 15% of the animal and we use for collecting semen very, very carefully considering the domestic and international market, and we have the ease to use them in the study and measure what is going on with the progeny of these bulls. So this work to create genetic material and use it gives us a lot of experience to talk to the market.
Well, we don't have a lot of time. Time is of the essence here. So I would like to ask the people from the technical area to play a video with the bulls that we have, and William will comment on some of these products.
Yeah, the bulls from the generation. We have to remember that Agromaripá, we have this work of collection of semen in our center. Everything within the legal parameters, both for export and domestically as well. This material is collected from these bulls to be exported, and we also have the group of bulls, the lower group that is here to meet the demand of all Brazilian breeders, but not just Brazilian, but international, and also international breeders. This is a group of bulls that is first class, and any breeder everywhere can
That's
have access
nice.
to it.
And I had brought an interview from Luis Otávio, but because we don't have a lot of time, I would like just to highlight the concern that Agromaripa has with the environment. Luis, could you please talk a little bit about the regenerative livestock raising, what we have been doing, and about the carbon project? These are the two initiatives that are happening in Maripá today.
They are very important projects that are within the Amazonian biome, and our concern with the environment is very strong, and it's within our mission. And this technique comes to have sustainability within the production system. We want to put these animals within the system and to favor this system so that the waste of the animals will be incorporated and will create organic matter, and not to use soluble fertilizers in any type or form, to use natural products in this pasture and to make it regenerate by itself and to perpetuate, because it's something that has to be integrated with the animals. We understand it this way. And that's why we looked for this methodology that can be seen in videos in our website. And the diversifications of these areas in the soil, we use it using our own environment and plants from this area. And now talking about the carbon credits, we managed through a company called Ecological Consultancy, a project that had, which is a project of generating carbon credits through the conservancy of the forests. That is, we have a contract with them that our areas of permanent preservations, the APPs, and the legal reserve areas will be kept within a system of location in a place where there is a lot of deforestation. So we made a commitment with it, and we got carbon credit because of that, and it was made available in the voluntary carbon market throughout the world. So it's already accredited, and we already have these credits that have been validated and approved, and we have gone through international auditing, and these credits were generated already.
And if you want to learn more about the work of Agromaripá, please access our website and on our social media, our YouTube channel, Instagram at Agromaripá, and our official page on Facebook. I would like to thank Mr. Marcelo. Would you like to say any last words? And Luis Otávio, you as well?
I would like to say bye to everyone and to have been for the space to have been granted for us. And I wish a lot of success to everyone, and I say ask everyone who can visit us. They will be really glad at this Expo Genetics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Marcelo. Luis?
Yes, my regards to everyone. Maripá has its open doors in the Maripá region in Mato Grosso. It was a huge pleasure to be with you to present what Maripá means within the
And William?
cattle breeding context. Thank you and everyone that is here in the Expo Genetics. If you want to know a little bit more
Just a
about
little bit.
Maripá, you can come here and you should know more our work. We'll be here in Uberaba during Expo Genetics, and it'll be really a real pleasure to welcome everyone here.
We will be waiting for you. And now I pass the floor to Isi, who welcomed us here. I am 100% sure that the quality of information that you shared was amazing. So I thank you guys, Paula, you, William, as well, Dr. Marcelo, and Mr. Luis Otávio, who are participating remotely. And I would like to thank you for sharing all the work, such important work that you develop in Agro Maripá. We thank you. We wish you all the best and success at the fair and all throughout the year. Thank you for the trust in our work and for accepting our invitation to be here. Thank you. Thank
We
you.
thank you.
Goodbye. And to you who are watching from your country, from your home, thank you. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. We have a lot more information to share with you. After all, this is Expo Genetics, and we will reach you wherever you are. See you later.